Good afternoon. Hope you guys had a great Father's Day weekend. So today's workshop is about measure app success. So welcome to the App Elite program. So we have a number of amazing guests today. Of course, we have Hayden, who will be asking a lot of questions today and addressing a lot of those clients' questions. And then, of course, there's me, Donna. I'm the app specialist in Google. We're walking you guys through about different app measurement and attribution topics. We also have invited many important guests today, including Vivian from our technical team, as well as Jennifer, who is our business development lead for the Google App Play Store. So we have many exciting topics for today, and throughout, I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. So feel free to put them in the chat. At the end of today's section, we'll have a Q&A where we'll answer all of you guys' questions all at once. So I talk about how we have a very packed agenda today. So let me walk you guys through what we will go through. So first of all, we'll recap on last workshop about Grow App Business. After that, we'll walk through app measurement and attribution. After that, we'll have app ads, tracking methodologies, G for Firebase introduction and setup, web to app connect, which is also referred to Appify or deep linking. And lastly, we have a very bonus topics about Play Store listing, which is all about organic optimizations for your app. So definitely, it is a very juicy topics today, so hope you guys enjoy. So let's actually recap of last workshop, what we talk about Grow App Business. So we walked through about different app campaigns and how app campaigns is a very automated product, which it can show on Play Store, on search, on different channels on YouTube, etc. It really reaches user in the right context. So you don't have to launch different campaigns, but you just need to launch your app campaigns to go through each channel. After that, we talk about different app campaign types according to your marketing goals. If you're trying to drive volumes of install, definitely go for the AC install campaigns. If you're driving for more engagement, then you can go for an ACE campaign or app campaign engagement. We also walk through the different best practices and also the bidding strategies that can actually meet your marketing goals. And lastly, we have also shared a gift to some of your AMs and IMs. We have already shared this App Elite scorecard because we have walked through so many best practices and we probably worry that you guys don't remember all of them. So we have this really easy to know App Elite scorecard where we have already put down the percentage of your ACI or AC excellence, GA for Firebase bidding, and also Appify. So you might be wondering, what exactly is GA for Firebase bidding? What is Appify? Don't worry, we'll go through it today. So we'll make sure that when you guys receive this scorecard, you know exactly what to do next and how you can optimize for your Google Ads. So without further ado, let's actually start with app measurement and attribution. So for those who are not sure about attribution, let me share with you not a personal case, but something that might be relevant to some of you guys. So you guys probably use the app, maybe heard of the app Tinder. So for example, a user who uses Tinder and they swipe right. And then they actually meet up with a person to get coffee together. And then later on, they actually meet up in Paris to travel together. And later on, of course, they have a happy ending and someone proposes. And at the end, it converts and live happily ever after. So this is like, I guess, a usual journey. And of course, I think for Tinder, they'll definitely think that it is them who contribute to this relationship. But if you ask the guy probably would say that because of me who set up the date up at Paris, and it's also him who bought the nice ring to propose. So for the guy would probably say that it is his contribution. But if you actually ask a data scientist in this journey, they probably think that every channel actually contributes to this relationship. So attribution is all about attributing that credit to the right channel. And in a media context, of course, you would want to know which exact channel actually contributes to that conversion or that user purchase. So it is really important to actually bring on that data scientist hat to understand more accurately which channel actually contributes the most conversions. So I think if you ask Google Ads, we actually have a lot of attribution models in place. You guys have already probably seen this a lot already. And our most recommended attribution model will be data-driven model. However, this is the case for a lot of the web ads. However, I think for ads, for app ads, it is a little bit different. And the reason for that is app technology is actually a little different than web technology. In the app space, there's no cookies, there's no URLs, or it's harder to link inside the apps as compared to web. There's also challenges with tracking and analytics, especially with the changes of iOS 14. So there's no source of truth in the industry. There are a lot of different platforms trying to provide that different app measurement for you guys to do cross-channel, but there's no source of truth in this industry. And lastly, there are different devices, hardware, OS, so it's really hard to get all the publishers and devices on the same playing field. So what we're going to suggest today, it might not work in every single case, but we'll share with you guys the different methods that we think is best to really understand your Google Ads app campaigns. So I also want to share with you one of the examples. We'll not go through it today in depth. We have another workshop to go for it. But basically, for iOS 14 updates with actually an update from Apple side, it is harder now to really measure and track those conversions because it needs IDFA. And we'll talk more about this in the next workshop in August. We'll go through all of the changes from the iOS side so that through Google Ads campaigns, you guys can also drive that measurement and successes in your iOS app campaigns. For today, we'll mostly talk about the general app ads measurement, attributions, and reporting. So this is something that you guys can look for the next time.
Great, Donna. I think that's amazing to hear, and I'm sure we're all very excited to learn a little bit about more how we can best attribute our ads. This leads to my first question of today, which is we're placing multiple ads on multiple channels. So if I'm running ads on Facebook, on Instagram, on Google properties, what is the best way for us to evaluate the Google Ads performance for apps?
Cool. Thank you so much for your questions, Hayden. I know throughout today's workshop, you'll be asking me a lot of questions. So I'm super looking forward to that. So I know for your question, it is very common for a lot of the advertisers. You guys place on a lot of different channels. So we will answer these questions later because we'll walk through some of the logics behind conversion windows, different channels, how they measure it. We'll actually take a pause and talk about this later on. But before that, I also want to go through some basics first. So we'll walk through app attributions. So firstly, we'll walk through what actions do I want to drive for app ads. So how to set up these conversions, what are some usual conversions that you guys will track. Later on, we'll talk through some of the definitions of conversions. So for example, click-through conversions, engage-through conversions, and view-through conversions. And lastly, we'll talk about GA4 Firebase bidding, and we'll answer that question that Hayden, you just asked. So when we talk about metrics or conversions, I also want to take a step back and think about in your marketing journey for your app. So of course, you guys are placing your app ads into different channels, and then through different ad sets, through different exposure, etc. And in-app, probably you guys will look at the install, how the more in-app actions like registrations, in-app purchase, spend currency, and even ad engagement. So when we're looking at your app ad, we're looking at these in-app metrics. And in general, we can bucket it up into these three specific goals. So the first one would be installs and first opens. So you can set up in your account level. And we also have in-app actions available. So you can track all these relevant actions within your app. So a lot of some of the advertisers here are probably e-commerce clients, and you guys probably want to track like revenue. You guys can also do that. And basically, if you guys have set up those transaction values, you guys can also import it in your AAPs or Firebase, and then actually import to your Google Ads so that you can bid accordingly. So here's some of the suggested events for retail and e-commerce clients. So here you can see like sign-in, registrations, add to cart, coupon redemption, ad payment, referral, etc. These are all the common ones. But of course, I think the primary goals for a lot of us here is to drive that installs. So first open will be that sort of events that you guys can drive.
That's great, Donna. So I have it. Let's imagine if I have my tag set up and there, I've linked it to my Google Ads account. How should I really understand my Google Ads reporting in terms of our app ads?
Yeah, great question. So when you first launch your app ads campaign, of course, you want to know, what am I measuring? What are some of the conversions available? So let me walk you through the 3 types of conversions. So the first one is click-through conversions. It is based on a click. So when a user clicks on an ad and converts within the conversion window, then it will actually show in your conversions number. The second one is actually called engage view conversions. This will also be automatically included in your conversion numbers. This is when a user watches a skippable video ad for more than 10 seconds and converts within the configurable conversion window. And lastly, we also want to raise the awareness for view-through conversions. It is based on a viewable impression within a 24-hour window on all ACI formats, excluding search channel. If they convert within the 24 hours window and they want or they view your videos campaigns, then it will also be counted as a view-through conversions. So the reason why I bring up these 3 types of conversions is that in your Google Ads campaign, automatically click-through conversions and engage view conversions are included in your conversion numbers. However, view-through conversion is not included. So if we look into your a Google Ads, for example, here, you will see that in the conversions column, it actually has those numbers for conversions. However, for view-through conversions, it's something that you need to actually tick it out and then and also account them into those conversions. So the reason why we want to bring this up is that a lot of the other networks, like our competitors, like Facebook, or even our app attribution partners, in their reportings for conversions, they automatically include view-through conversions already. So if you actually want to compare apple to apple, sometimes when you see discrepancy, remember to also include view-through conversions from your Google Ads so that it will be a more fair comparisons. So you might be asking, how do I actually enable that? So in your Google Ads, go to like modify columns and select view-through conversions and apply. And that view-through conversions column will appear so that when you do their calculations, remember to add conversions plus view-through conversions as a way to evaluate your overall performances for your campaigns. So you probably have heard heard me talk about conversion windows. I also want to give you guys some background and context for this. This may sound a little bit complicated, but don't worry, we'll walk through that. So basically, in your conversion type for install, so if you're driving for install for your campaigns, if you're bidding on installs, you can actually set up different conversion windows accordingly. So for your click for ACI campaigns, we automatically set up 30 days as a default. And you also have 7 days conversion window that you can actually set up if you think that 30 days is a little bit too long. For engage view conversions, we have 1 to 3 days configurations available. The 2 days is the default settings, but you can also change. This is a new configuration change, so I just want to share with you guys to keep you guys in mind when you guys are thinking about conversion windows, ensuring those comparisons are completely the same. So for click-through conversions, video engagement, and view-through conversions, there are also different conversion windows settings. So please refer back to this slide, or later on we'll share some information so you guys can always check back. And for in-app events, so if you guys are bidding through maybe registrations inside your app, it's actually a different conversion window. You can configure it in a very different way. So you see here for ACI and ACE campaigns are also different. For click, for ACE, for engage view conversions is also a bit different. But we'll walk through what conversion windows are. And our suggestion is that for in-app events, usually it takes a little bit longer time to convert. So our suggestion is to have a longer conversion window. So our default setup should be what you guys are going for. But only if in your industry it's something completely different, then we would suggest you guys to change this setting. Also want to show you guys that in your conversion page, for each conversion action, you guys can change it here in this setting. So here you see click-through conversions, engage view conversions, and view-through conversions. You can change according to what your industry and your companies are like.
Great. Thanks, Donna. I think that was pretty clear in sharing the types of conversions that we have. So the click-through conversions, engage view conversions, and view-through conversions, and also how we can set kind of the conversion windows and look at that. However, I'm still a little bit confused about this whole conversion window thing and a conversion delay. So can you share a little bit more to the team about this?
Yeah, definitely. I will try my best. So let me actually share the definition about conversion window, and I will also share an example and walk you guys through. So conversion window is the period of time after an ad interaction, such as someone click an ad or view that video, during which a conversion, such as a purchase, is recorded in Google Ads. So for example, if you have a 14 days conversion window, if this conversion is done after you click the ad for maybe 15 days, then within this conversion window setting, this conversion will actually not be accounted in your Google Ads. And the reason for that is about conversion delay. Depending on your different industry and your user journey, maybe a user doesn't actually convert right away. They might need to go through different channels, like they usually need to be reminded several times, or they like to go through maybe different platforms. So if after they click an ad, and then maybe they usually take around 15 days or 20 days to really do that action, then considering it conversion delay, you should set up your conversion window accordingly. So let me give you an example here. So this lady sees a loan app ad on day 1. And on day 3, she actually discusses this loan with friends. So on day 6, she finally clicks on this mobile app and then downloads it, but doesn't open anything. So on day 15, that's when she finally opens the app. And on day 20, she finally remembers about the app and actually apply for this loan. So in this example, from day 6 to day 20, there is around 14 days conversion, right, delay. Because after she downloads this app, she actually doesn't open it and she doesn't apply only after 14 days. So if your conversion window is set in 7 days, this conversion will not be recorded in your Google Ads. So that's why our suggestion is that for more in-app engagements, it is better if you have a longer period, because after they open the app, you still have to wait for a little while for them to do that action. So in here, this is one of the examples to show how conversion delay for your user journey can affect how you set up conversion windows. So actually, let's go back to Hayden's question. Similar, not exactly the same, but here you see this lady who click on an ad, this app campaign for install app ad. And then first, with this ad, she clicks on it, and on day 7, she views it, and then on day 10, she still hasn't really done anything, but she clicked on this ad again. And lastly, on day 13, she finally sees this ad again on YouTube, and then on day 14, she downloads the app and converts. So this is actually more of a question for everyone. If this setting is a 7 days conversion window, which channel do you think actually gets credit for this situation? Is it day 1, day 7, day 10, or day 13? Feel free to put in the chat room the answer for this question. That's a really good question, Jason. Maybe you guys can just take a guess, and I will explain. So I see one of the answers is from Christopher. Depends on whether VTC are recorded, so either day 7 or 10. Any more guesses from this group? Hayden, do you want to take a guess? Day 13. Ooh. All right, let me show you the answer. Hayden is correct. So it is the engaged view. So let me first address Jason and Daisy's question. So is it using last click model? So here you see that this is one ACI campaign. So usually when we talk about different attribution models, we're talking about maybe different campaigns that is involved. But from here, it is only one ad campaign. So usually, we don't look at that attribution model. And second of all, we can go back to this slide. Let's see whether we can go back here. So we are talking about installs here. And we know that for view-through conversions, when it is within 1 day, if they look if they watch this video the day before it converts, the conversions, the credit actually will be attributed to view-through conversions. And depending on the setup for video engagement and click-through, then it will be the other channels. But because the last channel is from view-through, so that this conversion action will be accounted for view-through conversion here in day 13, the day before it converts. And day 13 to day 14 is only 1 day apart. So within the 7 days conversion window, it will still apply. So day 13 will be where it gets the credit of this situation. So good job, Hayden. All right, so we walked through some of the app campaigns reporting. So we want to do like a little summary of our recommendations. So first of all, definitely enable your VTC reporting in your Google Ads. We have included one of the the article here where you can follow the steps to enable it. Because for consistent, accurate measurement, comparing with your maybe other apps reportings, as well as with your other competitors, it is important to have an apple-to-apple comparison. Second of all is when you guys set up your conversion windows, do consider your conversion delay. We do suggest that to capture majority of volume, it is better if you guys have a longer conversion window set up. And lastly, adjust your conversion windows. There are different setting and configurations regarding whether you are doing in-app installs, in-app events, or installs. So do have that set up accordingly.
Great. Great, Donna. And I think before I kind of share the next question that I have for Donna, I think also for all the attendees here, we will definitely be sharing these slides out. So I think some of the questions or maybe some thoughts you have around the conversion windows for install type campaigns and also for in-app events and kind of how they work together, we will share those documents. And if any other questions, feel free to message the team or work with your IMs and AMs in understanding the attribution models there. Now I'm going to head back to Donna. And, earlier I just asked you a question, which is, great, we know how it works if it's for one individual channel, but how does it work when we have different channels working together? How does it all play together? And which channel actually gets the credit of that conversion?
Yeah, I know that didn't answer your question just now, but let me answer that right now. So you asked me about, and I know that a lot of advertisers place ad on maybe Facebook, on other channels. So to answer your question is, it really depends on the setup and also what sort of tracking method that you guys do. Because different channels has different setup, and I will walk through some of the examples as well. So depend on that, then we will know which will get the credit of these conversions. But of course, from Google Ads reporting side, we will count last click attributions. So Google Ads will most likely also record this conversion in your Google Ads reporting. So this really goes into the tracking methodologies for all of you guys. So just to have a little background, so I know that there are different types of tracking methods. We can actually group them into 3 types. So the first type is called the Android codeless install tracking. So this is only for if you have an app and you guys are placing it on an Android Play Store and you guys really want to immediately launch an app campaign for Android app, you guys can actually use this Android codeless install tracking tool. But if you guys want to place iOS app campaigns and other in-app campaigns to drive those optimizations, then you guys are probably using other attributions partners tracking method or GA4 Firebase. So Google Ads already partnering with a lot of the more major ones like AppsFlyer, Branch, CodeJava, Adjust that seamlessly integrate into our Google Ads. And then other than that, Google-wise, we also have one called Firebase. This is something that we would recommend advertisers to use because it will help developers and marketers understand in-app behaviors. And there are a lot of really great ways to optimize your campaigns. We'll have Vivian to walk through that later on. But let's actually walk through how the different tracking methods might affect the different measurements. So let's go back to this slide because of what you can see here is that on day 7, Facebook actually accounts for the first view. And then on day 13, it is Google Ads, right? So in this scenario, we need to think about 3 things. So first, which platform are you guys using? So for example, if you guys are bidding on AppsFlyer as a attributions platform, then they will most likely use the last click attribution method, then Google will actually be attributed. However, if those channels are completely like swapped, then Google will not get that attributions. It will be Facebook. Other than that, we need to think about the conversion window because from the third-party platforms, their conversion windows will be completely different. And also the way that they log their conversions are also different. Let me walk you through one of the examples, and you'll probably understand more. So here, some of you guys might import maybe Branch or AppsFlyer's conversion source into your Google Ads and bid on it. So for the first step here, you basically see that a user A clicks on, let me get my laser pointer out. So here you see that user A clicks on Google Ads. And then step 2 is user A clicks on another ad. It could be Facebook. And then after that, this user installed the app. And then lastly, user A opens the app for the first time. So in this channel, you see that these 2 platforms actually contribute to this conversion. And so the other platforms, the AAPs, they will look at the cross-channel methods and able to provide this postbacks or data to Google after the user actually opens the app. So that's when this step of sending these informations come from. So from Google, of course, we know about this click, date, time, and campaign info after this user A clicks on the Google Ads. And so Google will be able to send that yes or no signal to Branch along with the click, date, time, and campaign info. So sometimes in those AAP reports, user A will be attributed to Facebook because usually they will use last click attributions, even if Google sends them the click date, time, and campaign info. However, from Google Ads, we will attribute to us because we do have this information. We know that they have walked through this click before they actually download this app. So here is one of the reasons why there might be some discrepancies if we compare the AAP reports versus Google Ads. And this is one of the reasons why you might see the differences. So what we're suggesting here is that if you guys are reviewing your Google Ads campaign performances, it is better if you use the Google Ads reporting as well as understand the different logic behind your platform. And the second thing would be conversion window. So what we just talked about, how in the AAPs, a lot of time conversion window could be just 1 day. And for in-app events, it could be forever. So depending on the conversion window, it might be very different than how it records conversion. And as well as that, there is a difference between click versus event date time. For Google Ads, we actually will show that conversion whenever the user clicks on that ad. But however, the third parties usually use event date time. So for example, on July 20th, this is when the person actually purchased. This conversion in those AAPs might show on July 20th. However, from Google Ads, we actually will show it on July 1st. So here's also one of the reasons why if you just look at a specific date, that's why when we what we suggest is that when you compare data, use a longer time range, maybe like 14 days, so that it shows the total number of conversions and able to minimize that differences. Cool. But what we want to assure you is that, yes, you might think that like because of all these reasons, the logic behind different reportings is different, but the data is not missing. So our suggestion here is that don't worry too much. What we can do is that we can try to address each of the reasons and check accordingly, looking at a longer time frame and also understand the logic behind different reports so that you can make a better decision. Cool, and that concludes the topics about app ads measurement and also different tracking methodologies. So I'll pass the time to Vivian to talk more about GA for Firebase.
Thank you, Donna, and I will take over the slide control now. And hello, everyone. And in the next section, I'm going to talk about the app measurement. And I'm Vivian. I'm engagement manager from Google Professional Service Team in Hong Kong. And I've been working on GA and GA for Firebase for more than 5 years now. So as you know, that measurement is a very critical foundation for us to measure not only the marketing, but also to understand overall our app user behavior to drive app success as well. So that's why that Google is investing a lot in this area too. And last year, we introduced GA4 as the new version of GA that will integrate both app and the web. And so moving forward, Google Analytics 4 properties will be the unified platform, will be a cross-channel measurement platform, and it's built to be more durable and also privacy first for the future as well. And not only on the measuring app user behavior from the first party data point of view, we will also bringing in a lot of Google machine learning capabilities and adding in other Google signals to help empower your app analytics data. So in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to walk you through some details on the benefits and to help you understand why this is important for your marketing performance, and also introduce like what is the basic tips on the setup as well. And I will go over a little bit more details on how to integrate like deep link with your app measurement. So if you have Firebase on your app, so we will automatically bring a lot of powerful signals by default for your GA reports already. So that will include your user session data, your app usage, and most importantly, the in-app purchase or some other conversion signals that's being tracked on your app. And on the first segment here, you see the age and gender, which is something that we will also use Google sign-in data to bring over like some of the user affinity and in-market data to help you understand how your user profile is for your app. So with that powerful signal on your app, if you have Firebase SDK installed, you will already have the GA access to measure your app behavior. And with Google Analytics integration with Google Ads, we will also send those important conversion signals and audience data to Google Ads as well. And then further, you can also do like audience targeting or smart bidding approach to help you boost your marketing performance. So a snapshot of the overall benefits of using Google Analytics for Firebase for bidding. First of all, it will help you unlock a lot of performance benefits because we use a lot of machine learning algorithm for it. And later on, I will also introduce one thing called predictive audience, and that is one thing that we use Google machine learning capability on the back end and to help you find the most valuable users for your targeting. And then secondly, we can unlock some exclusive features for your app campaign optimization. So if you have heard about the app campaign for engagement, we can, with Firebase, we can also do the target ROAS bidding. And this is exclusively for GA for Firebase only. And lastly, we talk about future proofing. We talk about like privacy for the first slide. So with GA for Firebase bidding, we will reduce the over-reliance on the third-party ecosystem. So because those data are based on your first-party data, and we'll also bring in the Google's first-party solution, which is the Google Signal that I talk about to help you optimize your performance. And I think Donna talked about the AAP solutions, and I think many of you might have been using AppsFire or Branch or other third-party app analytics platform to track your marketing performance or for any of the reasons, right? So the best practice that we will recommend everyone here is not to choose one of this as your single platform, but instead we actually recommend you to keep both if you already have the other app analytics platform installed on your app. So here's an example, right? So imagine that you have AAP SDK installed on your app, and then we will recommend actually install Firebase SDK as well to track those important user behavior signals, especially like in-app purchase and first open data for the conversion bidding purpose. And on Google Ads platform, we can actually configure each of the different conversion signals for different purpose. So essentially, you can bring in the conversion data from both Firebase and also AAP. And then here we will recommend if you already use AAP for measurement, you can still keep this for your the consistent measurement logic. But then for bidding, we will recommend using GA for Firebase just for all of the reasons that we have been talking about. right? So we will have more signals, and we'll have more machine learning capabilities to help you for the marketing performance. So yeah, and here I have a case study to give you some inspirations on how this can actually help your marketing. So here we have a client called McDonald's. So everyone knows McDonald's. So McDonald's already implement GA4 Firebase on their app. And then recently, they tried using Firebase conversion signals for their app campaign engagement. And especially, like, the most special thing here is they not only to use app campaign to bid on their conversions, but they also target on the predictive audience, which on Firebase you can actually, on GA4 itself, we can we will find the most valuable users for you based on the conversion signals that we have implemented it. So for McDonald's, they set up the app campaign for engagement to bid on the in-app purchase and targeting on those predicted audience, like those who are most likely to purchase in the next 7 days. So the result is very encouraging and very exciting. We see like 6 times an increase on overall conversion value, and also 74% increase in ROAS. So I hope this will also give you some motivation as well to try with this use case from your end. And we're also happy to help answer any questions and also help you with the technical setup. So next, let me talk about the basic steps of GA4 setup. And of course, we don't have like a lot of time for us to go through all the technical details today, but I want to walk you through some basic steps and give you some critical concepts of the tips when you set up. So here, if any of you also have the website business, you might heard about Universal Analytics. So Universal Analytics is the GA that we had as in the past, I think 12 years, like more than 12 years now. And last year we announced the new properties called GA4 properties. So this is a new version of GA. And we are going to deprecate the Universal Analytics next year. Then moving forward, GA4 will be like for both web and app. And this is important because when we talk about setting up your app measurement for GA4, if you also have web, it's very important to think about how do you put web and app together to enable your measurement. So if you have web, this is what we would suggest for the overall setup process. So first, we need to have the GA4 tagging on your websites. And then, of course, we need to install the GA4 Firebase, which is known as Firebase SDK on your app, right? And then you will have the GA4 properties to connect both app and the web data stream. And this is important because once you have that, we can enable the Google signals or even implement user ID. So user ID is for the login user. And with these additional signals, we can help you dedupe the user across app and the web, and also help you enable the cross-device targeting as well. So once you have complete these 4 basic steps, we are able to do the reporting, your app behavior analysis, and also the conversion audience export to Google Ads for marketing already. So on the account setup, one thing I want to call out here is it's very important to understand and set up the right account structure. So here, if you have the web data, you might have a web stream to collect the data from the web tagging. You also have the app data stream to collect from the app site. And then essentially, if they are for the same business, then it's better to collect these 2 app and the web streams on the same property. So then you can have benefit from the cross-device measurement. And this is critical because once you set up, it's not easy to like move one data stream to the other property, and with the historical data moving as well. So yeah, so this is one thing that I want to give everyone a heads up, and to look after your account structure with your web business as well. So after the account setup, I mentioned about Google Signal. So essentially, when you enable Google Signals, this is the data that we will bring in to help you stitch your session data across web and the app. Right. So first, we will look at the user ID, which is based on the first-party login ID, because that is more accurate and very fact-based. And secondly, if we don't have user ID available, what GA will do is we will look at the Google Signals and see if there's any Google sign-in data for these users, for example, on the Chrome browsers or from the Play Store as well. And from there, we can understand they are the same users from different devices, and we'll connect those together. And then lastly, if both are not available, then we will look at the device ID, which is like the first party or the session ID for the for cookie or for your device. And this is a sneak peek of what data you will see when you enable the cross-device reporting or when you enable Google Signals. So this is before you enable Google Signals. I think even if you have web and app data together on GA, you will see that data from iOS and the web and Android are all separate. Once you enable the cross-device reporting, all the metrics and the user data that you see in GA4 report will already be deduped based on Google Signals. And here in the technology report, you will also see that how these users are overlapped, so to help you understand the cross-device behavior as well. And after we enable Google Signals, and the most important thing is to set up the conversions and also import the conversions to Google Ads for bidding. And there are 4 basic steps to go through. The first step, usually we will need the tech team to support, which is install the SDK and also install the event tracking. So here's a link to a list of suggested event for different type of business, which some of this was touched by Donna in the previous slide before. So here we will recommend tracking those important action in your app, especially those that we will use for bidding. And then the next step will be turning some of the events on for bidding. And so in order to use it for bidding, we will need to toggle these events for conversions. So here I have a snapshot here. So this is the toggle that we can actually configure that in the GA UI. And then here, what we need to do is just to like switch this on, which is very simple, right? And the next step is to link the Google Ads with Firebase. We have the instructions on the Help Center as well, which is very easy and straightforward, can be doable by the marketers. And lastly is to import the app conversions into Google Ads, and then ensure your Google Ads enabled for auto tagging. And once you've done all this setup, actually the step 2 to step 4 can be done on the UI. You are ready to set for the GA for Firebase bidding. Yeah. And after the bidding, if you want to further enhance your campaign, what we would suggest is to look at the audience, create an audience on GA4, and import those audience to Google Ads for targeting. And I talk about the predictive audience that McDonald's used for their ACE campaign. So here, once you have the purchase event tracked on Firebase, we would actually automatically do the modeling, create a modeling for you. And usually it takes around 30 days for the modeling to complete for the first time. And after that, every day we will refresh the audience. We will refresh the user in that audience list, and then we'll share that with Google Ads automatically. So what you need to do is to look at the audience section, and there's a predictive part, which we have a list of predictive users for you to create, and then you can share this with Google Ads for targeting. And of course, besides the predictive audience, there are also custom audience that you can create based on your needs. And for your app campaign, for engagement, we can also create whatever custom audience that fits into your needs here. So this is just an example that I want to, for example, target on those who already sign up but maybe not yet make purchase. So I can do that with a simple, like several clicks on the GA4 UI. So that's it for the GA4 Firebase bidding. And let me know and leave the message if you have any questions for the setup. So next, what I want to talk about is the Web2 App Connect. We all know that for the current world, right? On the mobile device, we can access to the web and app, and there's raise a lot of complexity. So we want to talk a little bit more about how do you actually enhance your user experience and improve your marketing performance with Web2 App Connect. And then before I get into that, I will pass on to Hayden to share his personal experience on the Web2 App connection and to help illustrate this use case a little bit more. Hayden, over to you.
Yeah, definitely. And first of all, it's been Father's Day just yesterday. So hopefully everybody got to spend time with their family. And of course, what's a great celebration without some gifts? So just sharing an example of what can happen or the journey that would potentially be the same as your customers when they're searching for a particular product or a particular service. So on the next slide, kind of just showcases roughly while it wasn't the right screen caps and I don't have the exact details, this is a journey of what your customers may be going through. First of all, they may be searching for a certain product that they're interested to purchase, maybe Father's Day gifts, where they're greeted by your search ads. Based on that, depending on whether they have your app installed, they may be led to a web or a app experience. However, they might not be able to make a purchase, especially at that time. Let's say, I get targeted by the Mr. Porter ad, and when I click onto it, I'm shown kind of more fashion accessories, but I might spend some time kind of looking on the website, on YouTube, and browsing kind of what other ideas they have. And based on that, I might be kind of brought into another direction and think about, maybe buying gadgets or something else for my father. However, through app engagement campaigns, we may be able to target this person back with kind of more display advertising or across different areas to really get this user back, be it on Gmail, be it on display, be it on YouTube or other channels. And based on that, the consumer may actually be converting back either on a web environment or an app environment. And if they have something added to the cart, we do see that a lot of users are actually having an abandoned cart experience. So it might take even longer for you to win that customer and get that conversion. On the next slide, what we see from Google side is that there is a blurred line between both web and app. As a matter of fact, on average, on a mobile shopping session, we see 6 visits to either an app and or a mobile site. So making sure that you have a great user experience, both on the website and on the app side, to cater for our advanced customers is really critical. I'll pass the time on back to the team to continue on sharing a little bit more on web and app.
Thank you, Hayden. So Yeah, after understanding the real example, I am sure that most of us can relate, as we are also one of the consumer populations, right? So the idea here is to help our overall user engagements with a better user experience, and to provide our consumers like a direct reach to the app content instead of going through mobile site and then the app separately. And so here we are seeing that when the user click on a mobile search or other type of campaigns, and then open in the apps versus in a mobile website, we see that if they can open directly in the app, that will give us like 2 times the conversion rate, right? Because if I were the consumer, right, app actually always give me more user-friendly experience, making like browsing the product and making purchase, whereas website, sometimes it takes time to load, longer time to load, and it's not as smooth as directly open in an app. So here we want to recommend everyone to set up what we call it as deep link for your campaign, which means we, instead of directing your users to the website landing page, we will put a deep link here, which will direct the user into the app content. Right? So when you click on the ads, it already takes you to that product content. So here I have a flow chart to kind of further illustrate what that workflow would be. So here we have a Google Ads campaign here. And for example, if it's a search ads, and here I use the deep link as a landing page. So before I have the deep link set up, like all the clicks will actually lead the users to the mobile sites, right? Which is not super ideal if I already have app on their device. So what we want to do is with deep link, we will first look at whether the user already installed the app on their device already or not. And if the answer is yes, we will take the user directly into the app content or into the app page. So then they can continue their browsing behavior from there. So here we will also have Firebase installed here. And then once the conversion is happened, we will also send that back to Google Ads for optimization. Right? And if the user does not install the app yet, we will lead them to the mobile website instead. And then hopefully at some point, they will click the download button, right? And then they will download the app. And once they download the app, we will also bring them back to the in-app content, and like the rest are the same. So this is the ideal, the deep link setup that we think that it will benefit most of our advertisers. So basically, when we talk about app deep link, and if we talk about the best practice, there are actually 3 steps to set up. So one is to set up the deep links. So on Android, we have app links. And then on the iOS, we have universal links, which is the standardized version of deep links that we will recommend as best practice. And then secondly, we will need to track those app conversions on your app. And then lastly, we need to turn on the smart bidding. So with these 3 all together, we're all set. Right? And then we hope this will bring better marketing performance for your campaign. So here a little bit more details on how the Google campaign can actually support the deep link. So for the app campaign, of course, that's something that we already supporting. And for the non-app campaign on the Android side, all these different campaign types are already supported. And we are also developing on the iOS side. Right now, search is already supported by GBRIT. If you don't know what that is, it's okay. It's like a different set of ID that we created to mitigate the risk for iOS 14. And all of this will, regarding iOS, will be illustrated in a further session. Actually, in the next one, we will have a deep dive on the iOS readiness for that. But what you need to understand here is that we have all the campaign type support for Android, and we are also expanding that to iOS. And once you have the deep link set up, here's how we would recommend we can look at how our users are, how our ads are driving for the deep link. So on Google Ads, we can actually break down into different ads destination reporting. So here is a demo snapshot, which you can see like when I segment this by ad destination reporting, we are able to see how the ads is driving through the deep link and how deep link is performing compared to other destination. So here's how what I will suggest to look at the deep link setup once you already do that with your technical team. Yeah, and a little bit more details on deep link. Actually, when we talk about deep link, there are many types of deep link. So it's basically like two kinds of deep link here. One is the app link and universal links, which is the official deep link provided by the operations, like the OS supplier, which is Android and iOS. And this is something that we will suggest for Google Ads campaign here. And on the other side, your developer can also set up the custom schemes, which is like a custom deep link can be set up by your technical team. And then we will have the smart links here, which is usually provided by your app analytics platform or any other third-party platform that usually use redirect methodology to redirect users to the App Store or the app content. And because smart links usually use the redirect technology, so this is something that currently Google Ads campaign is not supported in. So if you're using smart links, that's fine. But for Google Ads campaign, we only support the app links and universal links. So keep in mind for that. And it definitely take some time for setup, but it's actually a very standard implementation for deep link. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here for the technical details. But what's next is if you want to try it out, setting up deep link, here's all the information that you will need to share with your technical team. So we have the instructions on how to set up using app links and universal links. And even with deep links, just to remind everyone again, it's very important to set up an in-app conversion as well. And if you have the third-party smart links, as I mentioned, it can run in parallel with your app links and universal links, right? So you can still keep your smart links for other channels, but specifically for Google Campaign, we need app links and universal links to work. Cool. So that's it for my part today. And the next section, I'm going to hand over to Jennifer to talk about Google Play Store listing.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer. I'm based in Hong Kong, and I'm the Google Play Business Development Manager. So I mainly look after apps and games developers and help them improve app qualities and revenue. All right, next slide, please. So here today, what I'm going to talk about is mainly about in-store conversion. I understand that you spend money on marketing, you buy ads, right? And then a lot of times you would like to draw in stores. And today I'm going to talk about how to set up a nicer page, or what are some of the important factors when users come to Google Play Store that will motivate them to install. So first, it's user rating. So take a look at your own app and see where they stand. In general, 4.4 stars is treated as good, very good rating. So I know that a lot of, in general, a lot of apps actually is between 3 to 4. As you can see, if your app is below 3, that means you may want to take a look and fix something, which means does it crash frequently? Does it consume a lot of battery, etc., etc. So if your app is at 2 point something to 3, if you can get from 2 to 3, that's actually a 9 times jump for getting more sales. And if your app is at 3, getting to 4, you can expect a 4-point jump. Because rating itself gives user confidence to install your app. All right, next slide, please. And in general, for apps, the install conversion we are tracking at around 30 to 40%. That's the average benchmark. So you can also take a look at where you stand. Next slide, please. So today, I would like to introduce you to a free tool that you can all use in Google Play Console backend. It is called Store Listing Experiment. Okay, next slide, please. So in general, for your app, there are a few assets you need to submit to the store, right? And it looks like this. You usually have a header image, a video, you have an icon, you have some description in text, and you have some key images, right? We encourage you to A/B test some of these assets, and here's how. Next slide, please. So say, for example, testing icon. This is a very classic example. I'm going to walk you through this, and you can see how you can use it as well. So Angry Birds, back then, they have no idea which icon will yield the best conversion. So think of it as these 3 rows. All right, let's look at the very top row. At first, they have this icon on the top left versus a bunch of other icons on the right, first row. Okay, no idea which one is better, so they plug it in and run this store listing experiment, and then the one on the very far right has 7.2% win, and then they use this as the second test and test again. This time they test the beak direction. All right, facing downwards, facing upwards, and switch in a bunch of other variations. And at last, the second one actually has a 3.2% win. Okay, and then they took this to run the third test. In the third row, switch up color, blue, yellow, red, and a mix of color. And last, the blue wins. So this icon stays on the Play Store. And also for all the ads campaigns, etc., etc. So think of this. If you did not test and you did not find a true winner, you are actually getting a 10% miss here in terms of conversion. So then you may say that, oh, but mine is an app. I cannot really change my brand that easily. What should I do? So I see that a lot of app developers, during seasonal times, Christmas, they may put a tiny Christmas tree or Christmas carol at the corner of the app. This is actually the time where you can test out if it's better to put this seasonal theme, or is it better to leave it out. So you can still create variations even though you still want to keep your brand. And sometimes they also test putting a new in the corner, or putting a little bit of flag or a badge or something. So I'm seeing a lot of this kind of test variations for app developers as well. So we do encourage you to test the icon. Next slide. Yeah, that's right. So again, Pride Month seasonality, I think that's a good idea as well. So next test is on the words description experiment. Honestly, I don't think this one will give you a big impact, but the first 2 sentences of the description, people can read it on the first screen. But other than that, this long paragraph, a lot of users don't read. But still, this is the easiest to test because it's just changing a bunch of text, right? So in this example, Cam Scanner, at first they put out the world's #1 document scanning app. Just say that, okay, I'm good, right? I'm the world's #1. And then they had 40% in-store conversion. And then next, they added functions. They said scan docs into crystal clear, sharp image, and you can send fax. Basically, just list out all the functions. 42%, a little bit increase in conversion, just a 2-point increase. And then third, make it more precise, right? Scan docs, list out functions and cut out all the adjectives, no crystal clear, right? And sharp image, etc., etc. And save to cloud, add a new function, save to cloud, 44%. So it's up 4 points here in terms of just changing a bunch of text. I do encourage you to test this out because it's pretty low-hanging fruit. I do see a lot of apps saying that I'm the Hong Kong #1, whatever. I'm the Hong Kong's biggest or the most popular. So if this is actually what you have written, it didn't say much, right? Maybe you can try stating a little bit of functions, features within the app and see if that will help in stores as well. All right, next page. So I talked about icons, I talked about text, and then here is screenshots. Can you guess which screenshots is the winner here? It's hard to guess, right? So basically the idea is if you don't test, you don't know. The winner is, if you press, then it will show. Yes, the red one. So what should you do? Bring the red one to the top, because usually on the phone, you can only see the first 2 screens, first 2 images. Okay. All right, next, you get the idea. After testing images, you can also test videos, right? There are 2 videos, 40 seconds and 15 seconds. Of course, I thought the 15-second will win, but if you don't test, you never know. The winner is, it's actually the 40 seconds one. So here, it doesn't mean that the longer the better. It really depends on your app. If your app actually has a lot of functions, a lot of features, it's actually good that you showcase it within the video because people do view it. If your app is really easy, like straightforward, then sometimes, I mean, it's sweet. I mean, the shorter the better. So it's you don't know. And also it's best to match your marketing campaign as well, right? So if you're running any promo in a period of time, and definitely you make an integrated marketing campaign. Okay, so you get the idea. So again, icon, description, image, and video are the 4 things that you can test. Next. Okay, and also on Google Play Store, now you can create custom store listings. So after testing all these, right, you can even test by country. So this app is called Recipe Finder. It's the same app, but why do they look totally different, right? Here, because they target, #1, totally different country, okay? And #2, they can deep link into different cohorts. Say, for example, they want to target this dessert sweet tooth group. Then they can deep link into this group. And for this dessert sweet tooth group, they will only see this dessert image. And next, they want to target vegetarian group, for example. Then you can also deep link a set of image for these vegetarian target audiences. So, and then you get the idea, apply to your own app, right? So now your store listing can be customized by country and also by your target group by deep link. And next, so you do it like this, right? Target users by URL and you deep link into it. And how many group can you create? Up to 50. Okay, this is the latest that we announced this year. So hopefully all these flexibilities and all these tools can help you increase your in-store conversion and help you yield better ROI from all your apps. I think that's all for me today, and I'll pass it back to Donna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all of our speakers today for the very meaningful sharing. So we have shared a lot today. We walked through what user actions are, setting up conversions. We also talk about when users interact with the ads, what are some reporting conversions that we can look at. We also walk through the different app analytics measurements, especially the Firebase, how the benefits of it, and also about Web2Connect, about setting up deep linking, not only helping drive out in-app engagements and help to improve user experience. Now I also learned from Jennifer that on the Play Store, you can also use those deep links to direct people to the specific in-app content from your Play Store. So to summarize today's jam-packed section, I want to bring you guys 3 things to walk out from this. So first thing is, I hope that all of you guys learn about app campaign reporting. So do consider view-through conversions when you guys are looking into total conversions from Google Ads. Think about attributions, adjust conversion windows for more accurate representation of Google Ads app campaigns. Second of all is we do recommend you guys to bid on GA4 Firebase. It is okay to continue to use your other app attributions platform to look at the cross-channel measurements. However, to really improve and maximize your Google Ads campaign, do bid on GA4 Firebase and also use the additional features like predictive audience targeting and even ACET ROAS like McDonald's to really maximize their performances for their business. So lastly, I think Jennifer touched upon how it is important to have an experimental mindset. So do experiment and set up Appify. This is, I think, a more advanced measurement to bring web to app more seamlessly. Other than that, we have also shared Play Store optimization tips to drive additional conversions from that channel. So do experiment with the different tips and advice that we have. So this is pretty much the summary for today.